Okay, I'm here with Aaron Jeffery, CFFC middleweight champion, who's got a fight coming up in Dana White's Contender Series. Aaron, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You're Canadian, but you've been in Vegas a little while now. So how have you found that move generally?
It's been awesome, man. Training's great, weather's great, good people down here. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
So just quickly, I saw on Twitter the other day that you posted about having a streak on Duolingo. So I'm just curious what you've been learning.
Yeah, I'm learning French. My girlfriend is French Canadian, and when we met, she actually didn't speak very good English, and she's learned pretty good, and she's like perfectly bilingual now. So I'm learning French.
Yes, good. I just thought I'd throw that in here before we go into the serious
Mix
stuff.
it up. Mix it up.
Yeah, I started at the start of the pandemic, but I just couldn't get on with it. I tried to learn Japanese, but I just couldn't pick it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It helps. It helps when you have a significant other that speaks the language.
I'm sure.
Bit of extra motivation.
So since we last talked, you've gained a bit of notoriety online, bit of buzz on Twitter. There was a UFC article. The Muller thing's taken off as well. Obviously, we've seen the t-shirts out and about. Do you notice a difference in that or not?
A difference in what?
In sort of like the notoriety that you have.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, quite a bit since being down in Vegas. I think hanging out with Strickland, he's obviously gaining quite the following right now, and he's posting some stuff of me. So I think that's helping out quite a bit.
Awesome. So the fight, September 28th on Contender Series against Caio Borralho. First question, I guess. You're just under a month out now. How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. It's been a long camp. I've been ready to go for a while, and I'm just excited to get in there.
How much do you know about him as opponent? Because he's Brazilian, obviously, but he's a regional champion just like yourself.
As much as you can find out online, really. I mean, like, I know his record. I know his method of winning. There's not a ton of tape on him, but I think there's enough. I think if you watch like a minute of the guy, that's pretty much enough to, I don't want to say figure him out, but kind of like realize the style, right? He only does a couple things, but he does it well, what he does. But yeah, he kind of sticks to the same things, I think.
So obviously on paper, you feel this is a good matchup for yourself?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Obviously with the Contender Series, one thing that you see from that is that it prioritizes finishes a little bit. You've got some finishes, but your last fight, you kind of had to grind the guy out a little bit. Does that kind of play on your mind a little bit going into something like that? Or do you just not dwell on that?
I'm not dwelling on it too much. I mean, eight out of my 10 wins are finishes. It's a pretty good finish percentage. So it kind of comes naturally for me. But honestly, man, like as a fighter, you're just looking for the win.
So the last time we talked, you said you weren't really keen on doing the Contender Series again. So in your mind, what changed? Was it just a case of getting that offer on the table and thinking like, I can't turn this down?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, we weren't getting a UFC contract, but we were getting a Contender Series contract. So I didn't want to turn that down.
They seem to be bringing a lot less guys in straight to the UFC, especially these last couple seasons of Contender Series. It feels like a lot of the guys they sign, unless it's someone, say, Paddy Pimblett, who's got a bit of a name. These guys, pretty much everyone they're bringing in seems to be going through the Contender Series now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why, man. It's kind of weird. I guess. I mean, honestly, getting a Contender Series fight now is like, it seems almost the same as getting a UFC fight. Like the contract's not the same. Obviously, you're not getting paid the same, but it's got a pretty decent following. Like you said, a lot of the guys get signed, so it's still a pretty solid stage to be on.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter a little while ago. I saw someone was posting about a guy being signed to the UFC, and it wasn't a fighter who posted, but they posted about the guy getting signed. I can't remember who it was, but it was a Contender Series deal. That seems to be the way now.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about Vegas earlier. You've been down at Syndicate MMA. How have you enjoyed that training environment?
It's awesome, man. There's so many high level guys here. Like Strickland's here, Michael Chieso's here for a bit. Daniel Rodriguez, who just fought on the weekend. We got Khalil Roundtree, Sasha Platnikov. Like there's always guys in and out because it's close to the UFC building. So there'll be guys coming in and out, like tons of other like pro fighters that'll come down to visit too. So it's great, man.
Talk to me about John Wood as a coach. What do you think he's been able to bring to your game?
Honestly, the main thing I would say is that he's got so much experience, man, like so much skin in the game. He's cornered, I don't know how many UFC fighters. We cornered Strickland together, and to me, it was like this whole big ordeal. Like it was so cool to be backstage and all this. And like to John Wood, it's just like another regular day at work for him. Like he's been there and done that so many times. So I think that level of experience in a coach is huge.
How was that experience going out there for the Strickland fight? I say going out there, it was just around the corner, but
Yeah.
going out for a main event, a big fight against Uriah Hall. How was that for you?
It was sick, man. I was so nervous walking out though. Yeah, I was probably more nervous than Strickland, just like sitting cage side for a fight like that. Seeing like Uriah Hall across the cage before it started. Like I'm standing behind Strickland, I'm seeing Uriah Hall there, a guy I've been watching for, I don't know, probably about 10 years now. It was pretty surreal.
Talk to me about Strickland, because he says some things and he posts some things on social media and people think he's kind of a wild guy, but what's he like?
He's kind of a wild guy. I think what you see online is pretty representative of him. I think since he's got more of a following, maybe he's kind of like leaned into it a little bit. Maybe he plays it up a little bit more now. But yeah, that's pretty much him.
Were you used to that, or did that catch you off guard a bit when you first met the guy, or what?
I met him a couple years ago. I was at Syndicate. And yeah, like I said, I think he's leaned into it a bit more. Like he was the same guy back then, but maybe a bit more reserved, and now he's kind of amped it up a little bit. But he's a good dude, man. He's done a lot for me. I think he's a sweetheart deep down in there.
That's the promotion. That's how these guys get to bigger fights, isn't it? Though that's how it is.
That's it, man. Like you see his following grow like crazy, and I mean he's a good fighter. That helps, but it's the personality that does that.
Yeah, and he looked great against Uriah Hall as well.
Man, he's a savage. I trained with him 2 years ago. He was just coming off his motorcycle injury. His leg was all banged up. He was like kind of out of shape. And I was just watching him like kick everyone's ass in the gym, like beating up heavyweights and stuff. And I went back home and I said I could see this guy being champ one day. Nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I stick to that. I think I could see him being champ like in the near future.
I forgot about that injury. That's like a crazy turnaround, because we saw something similar happen to Frank Mir all those years ago.
Yeah. Strickland's knee was bad, man. It was like his kneecap was like hanging right out of his leg. It was a huge surgery. They said like he'll never do anything athletic again, and here he is.
So you've got a good group of sort of middleweights, like heavyweights at Syndicate. You mentioned Khalil Roundtree, obviously Rodriguez is a welterweight, but I spoke to Corey Hendricks last week as well, and he talked about that group of guys you got there. It's like something that really helps you guys grow together. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, man, it's sick. We got like our big guy squad. I think a lot of these guys are used to not having other big training partners. So a lot of guys come down here to train. So the big guys kind of stick together. Like we do our own training sometimes. We all like vibe really well. We push each other. It's awesome.
And obviously Khalil's got his fight next week, so he's similar sort of position in camp to yourself and Rodriguez. So that obviously helps as well.
For sure, man. Khalil's looking sharp lately. I'm very pumped to see him fight.
Yeah. You mentioned Rodriguez there. How do you feel about his fight at the weekend?
Dude, he looked fucking awesome. Yeah. He's a gamer, man. He took a week or two off after his last fight, which was like maybe a month ago. He came back in the gym. He was feeling like a little bit out of shape, but he just like grinded through his last 2 weeks of camp and goes out there on 2 weeks notice, and he looked amazing.
Also on that card, though, we saw a guy, you have a win over, Andre Petrosky. What do you think about him getting the shot in the UFC? And are you guys cool now? Because I saw you post on Instagram about the fight.
Oh, yeah.
You guys boys.
Yeah, we're cool now. We've been cool since like right after the fight, pretty much. He kind of like jokingly talked some shit on Instagram after we fought, and then we started chatting. He's a good dude, man. He's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's like it kind of, I'm a bit bitter about it, seeing someone that I beat get signed. I'm happy for him though. It could be anyone. I'd be bitter about it. But yeah, that's what you get for going on The Ultimate Fighter, man. Like I had the opportunity and I turned it down. And Dana, I think he likes the guys that go on the show, so a lot of them end up getting contracts.
Yeah. You talk about this friendship you guys have. I was talking to a friend of mine about that kind of a little while ago, and like couldn't imagine being in a fight with someone, or in his case, being finished by the guy and then being friends? Is that kind of a weird dynamic?
A little bit. I mean, I talked to Sean Brady now too.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that beat me. I think there's usually a mutual respect. I mean, some guys are going to be like assholes about it and be pissed off and want a rematch or whatever, but you kind of like share something when you're in the cage together.
Just as we get towards the end here, big fight tonight: Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. What do you think of the whole YouTube celebrity boxing thing? Have you seen much of that?
Yeah, I like it, man. I don't know why everyone hates on it so much. I don't know, it's like jealousy or what. Like, yeah, Jake Paul's a little bit cringy, but he's doing good things for the sport. I mean, Tyron Woodley's probably going to get a huge payday right now. He's bringing attention to a lot of MMA fighters. Like, all he needs to do is mention your name, and it's going to bring you views or whatever. And I think he's not a bad athlete, man. He's a pretty decent boxer. I don't know why everyone hates him so much. He looks like what is he, 2-0? He looks like a decent 2-0 boxer.
I think it's 4-0.
4-0, yeah, whatever he is.
Obviously, the main thing is that he's not actually fought a boxer. That's the main criticism he gets, and obviously, and he's still going to have that with Woodley as well. How do you think Woodley's going to fare?
I don't know, man. He seems kind of like in his last few fights, he was like kind of a guy that breaks under pressure a little bit, and I think this fight's kind of huge and it's a lot of pressure. He hasn't let his hands go a whole lot in his last few fights either. Obviously that's the only tool he has in this fight, so he should let them go a bit more, but I don't know. I think I see it being competitive.
You got a pick or not?
I'm honestly kind of leaning towards Paul. I don't know why. It's just that's just my feeling.
Jake obviously is someone that kind of brings up a lot of issues towards like fighter pay and things like that, but he's been criticized. Do you think he's doing that with the right intentions or not?
I mean, I think he's trying to make himself money more than he's trying to make anyone else money, but I mean, he is making other people money, so whatever he's doing, he's helping out other people for sure.
All right, cool. Just back on to your fight as we finish off. Caio Borralho, as we said, September 28th. How do you see yourself getting this one done?
I could see a finish later in the fight, second, third round, TKO.
And obviously, ideal scenario, Contender Series, you walk away with that contract.
That's right, man.
So just to finish off, I saw another interview you did with Alex Bahunian. You talking about who you want to fight when you get to the UFC. You gave quite a good description. So do you have a name in mind of who that is or not?
I don't know, man. Whoever's the shittiest guy in that division, I don't know who it is. I don't know. I don't think the rankings go past like 20 or something. Yeah. But I'm sure there's some guy down at the bottom that I can dust up real quick for a nice finish.
All right, cool. I know you're not going to name the person who you think is the worst fighter in the division.
Probably someone I've never heard of.
Yeah. All right. Just to wrap it up here, where can people check out what you're up to? Obviously, the fight's going to be on ESPN Plus, on Contenders Series, Fight Pass, around the world. How things going, man? Where can people see what you're doing?
Yeah, everywhere on social media at AAJ MMA.
Yeah, awesome. And get one of the mullet shirts as well.
Yes, support the cause. Send me a DM and get one of these shirts.
Yeah, I might have to DM you about that in a bit.
Yes, sick, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, man, of course.